Hello everyone, Russell Wright from Network Empire and ThemeZoom.com. I'm really excited because I've got both Sue Bell and Jimmy Kelley with me today to talk about this new incredible filter that we have for the last keyword tool. It's very much related to backlinking, giving yourself a boost in your backlink diversity. Actually, we'll get into more specifically what this is about and what it does for you. This is a result of an innovation that came out of the amazing and popular course called the Traffic Hospital Panda and Penguin Recovery Course, which is actually unexpectedly popular. I do think that you should probably take a look at it by going to www.traffichospital.com. This is a course taught by Jimmy Kelley and Sue Bell. Probably the most rich information and powerful information that you'll see on how to recover and in SEO prevention. We go into how to prevent getting your site banned, de-indexed, and penalized, as well as how to go through the process of dealing with it if you do have that happen. This is a course that's based on a system we created called a perpetual mastermind and coaching system. You're going to love it. That means that once you have access, you always have access, and you're going to learn all about this stuff. Now we're going to jump right into this innovation. First, I want to tell you a little bit quickly about Sue Bell and Jimmy Kelley. Hopefully you already know who they are. Sue Bell is a longtime business partner and one of my best friends. Ex-military software architect. We sometimes call her the SEO and programming dominatrix architect. Her long-term vision built ThemeZoom, Network Empire, and a bunch of other companies. Bottom line, folks, badass, highly skilled, big data person. You just really want to follow what she's doing and really get into the information. Jimmy Kelley is formerly known as the SEO Kraken. Jimmy is somebody that we met at a live event a while back, and since then he has been great friends with Sue and myself, and to the point where we got into doing some pretty intense SEO with them. And he is probably the biggest, I don't know how to exactly describe you, Jimmy, but you are definitely a data prodigy. It's not just your SEO, it's like how you view the world, it's how you engineer data, how you look at it calmly, collectively before you strike to create serious damage in terms of ranking. He's helped us build the domain authority stacking methodologies. He teaches our GSA software backlinking training, among many, many other things. You're really going to want to take and look at many of the courses. Thank you guys for joining me. Let's jump right into this weird and cool filter you've created. Sue?
Thanks, Russell. So the other night, way too late, way too much coffee. We're going through we're going through one of the patents, and Jimmy said, this is kind of like statistically improbable phrases that you guys used to talk about. Don't you have a filter in TLKT for that? And I said, no, but dang, we should have.
Right.
So we sat down and played with some of the options, because we've got what we normally use when we talk about theme relevance is Larry, which is an algorithm that Kelly Reynolds came up with quite a few years ago. And it works very well for determining theme relevance. But when it comes to actually looking at statistically improbable phrases, or what's the word that they use in the patent, Jimmy?
Oh, man, that's let me take a look here.
We got the patent right here.
Yeah, it's inverse document frequency.
That's it. So inverse document frequency. What they're looking for there are keywords that are used within a niche, right? So that they're relevant to that one particular market or market area, and overall, aside from that market, it's not used very much. So it's statistically improbable outside of that niche. So
Gotcha.
So we're looking at, we've got all of these, we've got LSI and we've got Bayes calculations for each one of the keywords as it relates to the parent term inside of TLKT. And so played around with that, played around with competing pages, because we don't want a lot of competing pages, and we want a very high relevance to the actual seed term. And we came up with something that looks pretty good. So
and this is a filter for the last keyword tool?
Yes.
Can we talk about that just a little bit, because we have different levels of users?
Absolutely.
Some people have been with us for 10 years. Other people are just coming in and going, holy crap, this keyword tool is just not a keyword tool. It's like natural language processing. It's got LSI. It's got Bayes. And And now these things are starting to make sense to ordinary users. They're not just like fancy schmancy words.
Right.
Like they're not just keywords. This is like they're useful for backlinks. They're useful for diversity inside your document, and it makes all the documents more authentic because this is the way that natural language works and how the machine world is determining whether these articles are done by, real human beings. And like there's a lot of these kinds of things, right, that you worked into TLKT.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So the cool thing, the reason why we called it the last keyword tool is because you can go in there and develop your own filter. So if you have an idea of what it is you're looking for, you can go in and tweak out what it is and watch the results until you get just exactly the filter that you're looking for. And it can vary from market to market so that you've got a reasonable keyword list.
Gotcha. Okay, so this is the last keyword tool, and we'll talk more about that. This is not a platform pitch. We really want you guys to understand what's going on. So here's the filter. I actually tried to put up a wiki document, Sue, even though I didn't understand what the heck you guys were talking about. So here's the actual filter. Now, you have the ability to toss these filters inside. It's the only keyword tool in the world that super geeks, you don't have to be a super geek to use the tool. But if you wanted to, you could actually build and manipulate your own like natural language processing algorithms and filter the words that we bring back from them. So what you guys have done is created one that works for what? This is the keyword Google competing pages here, right?
Yeah. So this is going to bring back, right at the moment, what's available in the filter are the broad match competing pages.
Mm-hmm.
So over time, we'll finesse this a little bit more and put in the phrase match competing pages. So the number's rather large. Since it's broad match, we're looking at 1 million. And you can tweak that up and down, depending on your market, if it brings back too many keywords. And we're looking for pure diverse. In other words, we want keywords that aren't in any way, shape, or form part of the term that you drilled into. We're not wanting long tails. And then we want an LSI score greater than 1, which means it's going to be in particularly relevant to that particular niche.
Okay. Got it. And LSI score. So this is fancy schmancy. I know for some guys out there, you're going to look at this and it's like garbly-goop. But once you start getting our training, you'll understand what these things mean. Like one little line of code like this, putting into your tool, and it's going to start spitting out words that, for instance, you're going to be using these words for backlinking, right, Sue? Like this
right.
is them. And we've never really, talked about that much with the last keyword tool, like backlinking keywords. So that's really...
right. So you can use them as part of your backlinking content. You can also use them as content on your website.
Gotcha.
Right? So
gotcha.
statistically improbable phrases, what those things do is it adds an element of finesse, an element of specificity. It gets you a little bit further outside the realm of what an outsourcer might write.
Yeah, because, really what's happening, folks, is Sue and I were talking about this yesterday. Before Jimmy was on board with the team a couple years back, Sue and I were talking about using statistically improbable phrases, which is really an original, that's not trademarked, but the search inside function in the Google Books used to pull back SIPs and then put them on
You mean Amazon.
I'm sorry, Amazon. What did I say?
Google.
Ew. They've gotten that deep into my psyche. Horrible. Just horrible. Amazon had, on the book landing pages, authors, when they submitted to their search inside service, could have statistically improbable phrases pulled out of the book and literally stuck on the bottom of the page. And I used to love that function. I used to scrape it and run it into TLKT and crack it and try to find little gems and do different things with it. What's cool about that is that it's really hard to fake because an author has to write a whole book in order for Amazon to determine whether or not there's statistically improbable phrase in it that are most likely only around that topic or subject or interest. So Sue and I were looking at the real marketing possibilities of that. For instance, if all the authors who are writing books on triathlon all spoke about this one, all used this one name and this weird kind of martial art term, like maybe it was ninjutsu something or other. If they're all talking about that, then it's very rare and kind of a niche and an obscure term. But if they all are mentioning that term, that might be kind of an interesting statistically improbable phrase, and it points to the fact that triathletes might have some things in common with martial artists, and that might not really be a very obvious thing with the vertical stuff.
Right.
And so that's really, really cool, right, Sue? So we were talking about this. Well, this is what they've got done with this algorithm. What Jimmy and Sue have done is essentially allowed you to kind of hack that concept, use these terms from TLKT, pull them into backlinks and or your articles to kind of just say, screw you, Google Panda Penguin. No, did I say that out loud? Oh, I'm so sorry. No, that's not what I meant. What I meant is there's a really cool way for you to then collaborate in a friendly way with the patent. Is that the way I should say it? Well, I'm just looking at how would you say it? See, what's the most socially politically correct way to say it?
Politically correct? Well, it helps ensure that the things that Google's looking for based on the information that we have from this patent, you're going to meet in your documents.
Gotcha. So it's kind of living in harmony with the Google patent. It's giving them what they want to see on the
Exactly.
pages. Okay, there you go. How did I do?
That was good.
Okay, I can delete that stuff out of the call. Not. Okay, so here's actually this image that Jimmy pulled. This is the United States Patent and Trademark Office. This is the United States Patent. Jimmy pulled this. I don't know. I think Jimmy sits around with Sue like most of the day and just reads patents, Google patents. So, you know.
We only do that on Friday night.
Friday nights over beer or coffee or whichever comes first.
Tequila.
Tequila. That's right. The clarity of tequila. Okay, so what you have here is this is the image that, and then Jimmy pulled it here. Jimmy, can you, there are geeks among us and some fairly serious geeks kind of following us now. Can you just like give me a run through, you guys, of this thing pulled from the patent? Like, what does this mean?
Yeah, so basically, in a nutshell, I guess if you want to put it that way, Google's going to run through, and they run through all the documents that have this. They identify the link. This is specifically useful also for getting a little bit more boost from the sites you're going to use for backlinking. So what it does is it analyzes a window to the left and to the right, and in the patent it kind of states 5 or more words.
Okay.
Or more, who knows how far that is. But 5 to the left and 5 to the right. And if you are containing one of these keywords that we're providing through this filter, it's going to give that link juice a little bit more lift.
Gotcha.
So it's definitely beneficial to anyone doing SEO out there.
And there's a variety of ways that I know that you talk about in our various courses to. Can I use the word automate? Maybe I shouldn't. There are ways. There are ways for you to naturally and in large scale be able to implement this filter. Is that what you're saying, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they can look at our various courses, which of course are in 100% harmony with the Google patents. So
We don't manipulate PageRank.
none whatsoever. Yeah, domain authority and PageRank cannot be manipulated, and we don't do it, and we don't teach it. Okay, so. I'm feisty tonight. It's Friday night. We've been doing this all week. We've had 2 webinars. One of them was 3 hours, Sue. Okay, so we are here to have fun. That's what I want to remind everybody, okay, in case you think I'm being unprofessional. All right, so what you have if you look at this, Jimmy, is that when they use the filter, the keyword anchor test, like for example, if you pull back using this filter, a series of words. Your suggestion is, and are you going to teach in the traffichospital.com course where that goes in the backlink, or would you teach that in the domain authority stacking course, or where are we going to teach this, you guys? How to actually apply it?
That'd probably go better in the DAS course.
Okay, cool.
And
maybe
at this point,
we
but
could
it was definitely something we shared in Traffic Hospital too.
Yeah,
So.
and we should probably refer to it in the GSA course as well, Sue, or do you think?
Sure.
Okay. Great. So, but for you really, Sue, do you think of the DAS course is where we're going to get into like maybe a demonstration of how we use this?
Well, since you can use it both on page as well as for your inbound links, we'll probably cover it in several courses.
Right. Okay, that's a good answer. Gosh, I'm speechless. I don't think anything else could possibly be said about how cool this is. Do you guys have anything else that you want to go over, Sue?
I don't think so.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the last keyword tool. The last keyword tool is a part. There is sometimes we have a lot of people coming into Network Empire into the members area. For those of you who've never met us before, I'm sorry it had to be this video when you met us. No, just kidding, because I'm a little rambunctious. But that's okay. We just, so you know, we do have a lot of fun. And the perpetual mastermind courses that we have in training, to find out more about what we do visit networkempire.com members-area, and you can get a full curriculum of the courses that we offer. And they're getting pretty amazing. There are a lot of courses that are included, and there are some upgrades. We're calling these upgrades. And you can see buy as a separate product next to them. So go ahead and look at some of these. But the last keyword tool is included in the main package, right, Sue? And that main package includes a monthly version of TLKT and a regular membership base with the courses that are listed here for $197 a month, I believe.
Yep.
So it
includes most of our software. The only thing that's not in that package is Kraken. So
Right.
You've got access to Pink Finder and G Plus RSS and Domain Web Studio, Network Empire Builder, everything.
Right, and we have an entirely other course and training modules that talk about Kraken, so we're just going to stick with the last keyword tool. So that's pretty much it. And again, for those of you who are finding this because you've heard about our new course called Traffic Hospital, I really did not expect this course to be as popular as it's getting. It's creating a lot of buzz because it really is truly and authentically unique in the insight. When you put two kind of military level trained brains like Sue and Jimmy together, you've got some pretty huge sparks flying. So I really want you to be aware that all of these upgraded courses are what we call Perpetual Mastermind Webinar Bootcamp and Training. This one happens to include, at least for now, for the 6 remaining positions, 1 hour of coaching. When we relaunch later on, it will not include that with Jimmy personally because he's just way too high demand. So that was our launch offer. But we would love you to join. You can jump in at any point into the Perpetual Mastermind Webinar Bootcamp, which is what I love about the way we're offering this. So that's really it in a nutshell. Thank you guys so much. It's so hard to get you guys on the same page to go over these patent combinations, and I really want to thank you. I think this is going to be a huge boon to everybody in the Network Empire community who've been asking me on Skype and on the Skype groups the last couple of days. So thank you so much.
Been great. Thanks, Russ.
All right, you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Russ.
All right, we'll see you guys. We'll see everybody in the audience on the inside at www.networkempire.com. Thank you.
Done recording? Was that good, or you want to do another rendition?
Can you guys hang on for a second?
Yeah.
Interestingly, I don't know if that even recorded.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, so now we are going to have an actual demonstration of how the filter that we were just discussing works, which I believe is called the Statistically Improbable Best Backlink Phrases or something like that. You can see in the article. You can see the article name, and what Sue and Jimmy are with us still. We've actually taken a break, and this will be a separate video. You can see that Sue is inside the last keyword tool, and I'm just going to go ahead and let you take over from here, Sue.
Okay. So we looked around to find a couple of themes that were in particular fun, and one of them is weight reduction. So when this loads up, it's not actually a theme, it's a project, right? The difference between a project and a theme is that a theme is a collection of related keywords, and a project is not. So project is what we have in TLKT, and it brings back, how many? 365 keywords that have various degrees of relevance to the seed term. They're all relevant to one degree or another, but some of them pretty tangent. So this is just it in its raw form. Now I'm going to apply that filter that we talked about, the statistically improbable phrase filter. And you're going to see that this is going to go from 365 keywords down to 16 keywords. So our seed term here is weight reduction. And let's just take a look at what some of the statistically improbable phrases are. We've got ephedra-free. We've got carb blockers. We've got Mercy Medical Center Des Moines. Now that's got to be statistically improbable, right? Another couple ways of saying ephedra-free and carb lovers diet and HMR diets and some other in particular kinds of diets. And it gets into some really interesting things like cranial sacral acupuncture, skin tightening, mesotherapy, Philadelphia. So you can take off some of these locales and it's still going to be statistically improbable. And And what's your reaction to those, Russ, as we see those there?
Those are related, but they're very indirectly related.
Indirectly related, but I mean, ephedra free, when you're talking about weight reduction, it's definitely got a relationship. And so long as the keyword is actually applicable to the article that you're writing, I wouldn't just grab one of these keywords and throw it in somewhere around the anchor text just because it's, statistically improbable. It's got to be germane to the content you're writing. So Jimmy, talk to me for a second. If you're writing content for an inbound link, how would you, looking at this keyword list, how would that change what it is that you're writing for optimal use of the anchor text?
Well, that's kind of interesting because, I was thinking about some of these phrases, and these are kinds of things that you might see in like a research document or something that's heavily, because what most SEOs do is they'll go out to different services and just order up some content. I mean, you can guarantee most of these phrases are not going to be in that content.
Right.
So it's just kind of interesting, the kind of uniqueness that you get coming back. I mean, some of that, what was that one called? The craniosacral
acupuncture?
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of, that kind of stuff is not going to be in your typical weight loss backlinking property. So, I would get creative and try to see if you could weave some of these words into your content. Not necessarily having to go back and place next to the link, but as long as you're like dropping that into the content, I mean, I think it's going to require a little bit of finesse, but can definitely be done.
But if you provide your outsourcing team with 2 or 3 keywords, like if you say, hey, I want this to be about, I want you to include a concept like a paragraph about ephedra free or ephedra, and use the term ephedra free and about carb blockers, and then the anchor text needs to be weight reduction, that would certainly be doable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The interesting thing is, we got these kinds of keywords back on this one, but we did see some where specific authors and things like that were coming back too. So it's very, very interesting how, I think a lot of this will play in the semantic web as well.
Yeah, exactly. So that was another weight project that we drilled into. It was like weight loss as opposed to weight reduction. So you want to drill into all of the different synonyms. So like if you're actually using what we teach at Network Empire, where each page on your money site has got 5 to 7 terms on it, you're going to want to drill into all 5 to 7 of those terms and then grab your statistically improbable phrases and use those to create a plethora of inbound content. So let's take a look at another one for a second. Survival kits. This came back with some interesting concepts. We've got earthquake putty, earthquake straps, number 10 cans, interestingly enough, and then Mayday food bars. What do you think about those concepts just off the top of your head, Russ?
Well, the master keyword are survival kits, right?
Yeah.
And so we're looking at these statistically improbable phrases, and based on the previous interview, everybody should know that these are phrases that are obscure, but definitely tied to and related to the theme. And we were kind of joking around before this call about this, and it's really kind of interesting because here's what I do, just so people know what's going on in my mind when I see these things, is I immediately go to, I use a lot of statistically improbable phrases when I'm building my PinVid sites. So what I'm really doing is thinking in terms of banner networks, and that's kind of what we were joking about, Sue, which I really had wished we'd recorded because it was hilarious. But we were talking about like our survival website network and like, okay, if somebody's buying a survival kit, are they likely to buy earthquake putty? And we didn't even freaking know what earthquake putty and earthquake straps were. I mean, we were joking around like it's something that you throw on the ground so that when there's an earthquake, like, you stick to the ground and don't fall over. We're just messing around. The reality is earthquake putty is actually a very useful and tangent-related product. It's and topic. If you're in an area where you're buying survival kits kits, and we know, I know this for a fact because I know the market really well, survival kits are connected to earthquakes. Like Sue was saying, earthquakes and floods. That's the reason people prepare commonly over and over again for survival kits, and they keep their survival stuff up to date and the food up to date and so on and so forth. Well, earthquake putty is the stuff that you stick on the bottom of your vases and your expensive crystal and the things that you have hanging around your home in areas where you're likely to have tremors and or bad earthquakes, right? Well, who knew? I didn't even know it existed. And straps are when you want to tie something down. So is somebody likely to buy something like an earthquake putty if they're perusing for survival kits? Totally. That's kind of interesting. That's the power of like super tangent and obscure themes and products and words. So that's the first thing that goes through my mind. I just thought I'd throw that in there, Sue, so people know how I think about tangent themes and how cool they actually are.
So if I were going to tell my outsourcing team to create content around this, I'd probably say, I want to title this something like Surviving an Earthquake, and I want you to use survival kits, and I want you to use earthquake putty, and I want you to use earthquake straps, and I want you to talk about Mayday food bars. And so those 4 things could be talked about in how to survive an earthquake, and you've got statistically improbable phrases in there that are definitely going to pique Google's interest because it's not going to be your normal content, and you're still going to have your anchor text that you want to link to.
What I find really interesting about the way that we're able to filter statistically improbable phrases with TLKT is that we're actually able to pull back the ones that are product-oriented or that have money tied to them.
Right.
I mean, you may or may not want to use those in your articles. If they're a competitive brand, you may not, or you might. I mean, that's what's so interesting about this is that a lot of the Amazon search inside early SIPs were like completely valueless. They were 100% what we call educational terms,
right,
in terms of pay-per-click. But what I find interesting about our tool is how incredibly easy it is to bring back the dollar bills pinned to these SIPs. I mean, I don't know of any other way currently to get those on the planet.
Nope.
So that's pretty cool. Just brings up a world of possibility.
Yeah.
Just brings up a world of possibility. Okay, so that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to this, Jimmy?
No, I think that's it. I mean, just in case people are using these for backlinks, survival kits or one of those related terms that you'd be using would be your anchor text back to your target.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just want to make sure that one of these statistically improbable terms is going to be somewhere relatively close to that outbound link. So
let me just close this and make really, really sure that people understand what you're saying. So Sue, in this instance, what would one of our users who are just saying, "Oh, wow, that's really cool. I want to use this new filter." What would survival kits be on their website? Or
survival kits is going to be a keyword that they're targeting on one of the pages on their money site. It might be the primary keyword. It might be a synonym or a supporting keyword.
So it could be somewhere within the keyword DNA.
Yeah.
What would then, in Jimmy's model with these backlinks, which one of these on this page would be the backlinks? The keywords like earthquake, putty, and the rest, right?
I would probably use survival kits.
Okay, so
you're going to still use it as the anchor text. But you want to put one of these statistically improbable next to close to where that backlink is.
Right. So I want to be really clear on this. Explain what do you mean close to where that backlink is. Describe in detail. Are you talking about on the content page? I just want to make sure because we will get questions on this.
Yeah. So on the page, let's say this is a page you're creating that you're going to link back to your money site with.
Okay.
The anchor out in this instance would be linking back to the money site with survival kits or maybe survival kit.
Right.
Or maybe best survival kits. As long as it contains it, I think you're going to be fine. And then close to that outbound link, you're going to drop in, in this case, maybe earthquake putty.
Gotcha. So what I'm really actually trying to get clear, because I had somebody ask me on Skype, is what you're saying when you're talking about 5 to the left or 5 to the right when you're back engineering the patent. You're really talking about on that content page, within that proximity of the anchor text link, that statistically improbable phrase should appear as the written content.
That's correct.
Got it. Okay, just wanted to make 100% sure because I got a question yesterday. They wanted me to clarify for that.
I have found an increase in performance if these statistically improbable phrases are anywhere on the page.
Yes, exactly. In fact, we've talked about this since 2007.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting to have Jimmy go, okay, wow. So in terms of Penguin, I mean, we're saying something we've always been saying, but it's become more salient, right, Sue? Because is this patent fairly new, or is it a re-accentuation because they've now got these filters in place?
This is November 5, 2013. This is only about 6 months old.
Yeah, so that's I guess what I'm really trying to point out to our listeners is that this is more important, and once again we're accurate in what we've been saying, and Jimmy and you have just pointed out that it's not going away, it's becoming more intense.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I really want. That's the newsworthy aspect of this that I was trying to draw out of you guys, really, because I think it's really cool.
I want to point out that this patent was actually filed in 2004. It was awarded in 2013. That's a very long time. Usually it's only about 18 months for a patent. Wow. So this was like that's why these ideas have been around for a while.
No wonder it's been working all this time.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're bringing it back to backlinking because it's become more salient with the new filters other than just this patent. There's a whole bunch of them, like 40 other ones that are in play here. But the other ones now, it just works. Statistically improbable phrases are becoming more. To me, honestly, if I was writing an algorithm, and you and I talked about this like a few years ago, if I was writing one, SIPs are what I would use to just this final line of defense to do that. And it seems now it's becoming more, instead of just being a last resort, they're actually incorporating it into the front line of their filter.
Yep.
That's so cool. I love it, actually. Thank you, guys. This is amazing. I can't wait to. I'm actually going to tell our outsourcers, to start using this more and more. I mean, I know we're already doing that, Sue, but I'm actually going to be really focused on this, even on our WR2 stuff.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Jimmy, so much. And Sue, we'll see you on the next webinar. For those of you who want to find out more about this, please do visit us at www.networkempire.com. And, of course, we get into this pretty deep on www.domainauthoritystacking.com and www.traffichospital.com. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Russ.
Thanks, Russ.
Bye, guys.